Memories I'll never lose. 1,000 things I'll never use. I should throw them all away. But not today. In the bedroom, there's a touch of roses in the air. But when I turn to find her, she's never really there.
Hey, Mas!
The question on everyone's lips is why? How could this be happening? Recent victims include local favorites, the Hutchinson brothers.
My brother is dead. He broke his neck and then he drowned. Why? I mean, one minute we're laughing, and the next minute he's dead. Why would God let this happen?
At last, the greatest album of love songs ever recorded. You'll want to share them with someone special.
Why do birds suddenly appear?
Sung by the man who turned a personal affliction into a recording career, Don No Soul Simmons.
Just like me, they long to be close to you. Why do stars fall down from the sky every time you walk by? Just like me, they long to be close to you. She'd been sitting there and
So curl up by the fireside and listen to the non-threatening music of this master showman.
And honey, I miss you, and I'm being good, and I'd love to be with you, if only I could. Say, has anybody seen my sweet gypsy rose? Here's her picture when she was my sweet man.
Young lovers of any age will cherish this timeless collection of the world's most romantic ballads. And if you act now, you'll get free this bonus album, Don Simmons Down and Funky.
Jeremiah was a bullfrog. He was a good friend of mine. Never understood a single word he said.
This two-record collection is not available in any stores, so order now.
Yes, he always had some mighty fine wine.
Have you even heard him sing?
He made me sing last night. And if I were straight, I'd make you high-five me right now.
You are letting your judgment be completely clouded by lust.
Yes, thank you. See, Robert, Saul gets it.
Look, this isn't about me anymore. That dunce cannot be Sky.
Robert, I hear you, but I feel like you're not even considering Stevie's badonkadonk.
Eat.
Dude, you don't have to be ashamed or anything.
But I'm not a fudge packer.
Then why are you packing fudge?
I'm not. I'm a very busy actor. I'm just here trying to get away for a weekend and do some fly fishing.
Dude, you are in a fudge factory packing fudge.
Oh, that does it. I will sue you.
For what?
You can't just call somebody a fudge packer and get away with it. Hey, is that fudge packer Tom Cruise?
This is where he every day wearing a necklace. Look at this, and he's in this urn.
Is his ashes?
Yeah, his ashes right here and here. Yep. So both of my grandpas are here.
What's that other thing on the necklace?
It's a Punisher emblem.
What's that about?
I like the Punisher just because he's he takes his the law into his own hands to punish the people that wronged him.
Tell me, Senator, did you nurse Catherine yourself?
What?
Did you breastfeed her?
Now, wait a minute.
Yes, I did.
Toughened your nipples, didn't it?
Oh, son of a bitch.
Amputate a man's leg and he can still feel it tickling. Tell me, Mom, when your little girl is on the slab, where will it tickle you?
Take this thing back to Baltimore.
In fact, at that moment, Buster was climbing into the trunk.
Mother, when you see this videotape, you'll know that I left. Not out of cowardice, but out of... Oh, man, it's tired in here.
Honey, we have confronted our homophobia, and so has everyone else in town.
Well, thanks to your mother's tireless efforts, spreading the word about your homosexuality, calling people and writing people and putting your picture up on telephone poles and buying bus stop bench ads and starting an online chat service all about you and your gayness.
Oh,
and
shut up! I'm not gay. You two made my life miserable in this town. I hate you.
Oh.
You gay bastard! No gay son of mine is not gay. You better get gay or I'll make you gay.
We will be spending this Sunday evening at our neighbor Sean's superb owl party.
Vampires have huge respect for owls. 1, they're nocturnal. 2, they're predators. And 3, they don't give a hoot where they dump their scat.
For shame, Doc. Hunting rabbits with an elephant gun.
Elephant gun?
That's right, Doc. So why don't you go shoot yourself an elephant? You do, and I'll give you such a pinch!
We're going to start our volleys. We hope you like the show. For everything is ready. We're raring to go. We'll give you all the latest songs and dances full of pep. We're gonna start with high chops. Just watch this chorus steps.
Originally settled as Ocean View during the 1850s, the city's population boomed with displaced
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fantastic Comics Presents. This is our 157th consecutive Tuesday. We get together Tuesday at 8 every week, so that we can get together and talk about some comics. I am your humble host, Yule. That's me, right there. Well, you'll see my face later. I don't want to do that too often, you know. Oops. Lead with my face. Oof. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. For those of you that are new here, this is a comic book show on YouTube that's been going on for quite a while now. We talk about new comics that are coming out, a little bit about the industry, and just some other stuff that you might not know from a store owner's point of view. That's me, Yule. I own Fantastic Comics in Berkeley, California. The whole deal with this show is that I'm talking to my customers and anybody else that's out there. We've got quite a few things to talk about. A lot of things, actually. We're going to talk about, why did I name it oxidized journalism, anyone? The worst thing that can happen to your pulp comic book pages is oxidization. Oxidization? And let me tell you, comics journalism, we've been talking about it, skirting around the issues, talking about Heidi McDonald from time to time, talking about the industry and how they're, the people that are reporting on it. There's people that are naysayers, or, the gloom and doomers. There's the people out there that are, I don't know, maybe they're that band at the end of the Titanic's reign. Gonna play you down. And it feels like that. Often it feels like the other way also. People just are, shooting at the moon. But we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about a little bit of things that have been going on. And we're going to talk about one person in particular. It's gone around recently, the last week or so. So, this is the tail end. But there are some things that have happened today. Not all, usually when I have to talk about something that happened today, it's not really a good thing. So let's not get into that just yet. We're going to talk about stuff that happens at the store, things that I want to talk about, and things that I think might interest you. And that's what it's all about. But first, we have a little segment that we like to start the show off with, and it's called The Wrestling Minute. That's what this is. We talk about wrestling at the comic store sometimes, depending on the customer that comes in. Right now, the big wrestling that goes on is AEW and WWE, which has been a juggernaut for a bunch of years. Sometimes some Japanese stuff happens, and I always ignore Mexico. First up, this was a bit of a bummer. I thought I brought the picture up already. Let me just go on in here. Let me just get this. Oh, there it is. First up, I guess it happened either last night or early today. Dr. Dirty Dutch Mantel reported that Jerry Lawler suffered a stroke last night. Supposedly he's doing good. Jerry Lawler, Jill and I, we watch Raw from time to time, and there was an episode where he had a heart attack. And they were like trying to announce around it, but at the same time, move around and, help the people that are like trying to resuscitate him. And it was just a real eerie situation because the fans are like looking only at what's going on and not at what's going on in the ring. Definitely a shitty situation, of course. And, so it's getting old. These legends aren't going to be with us forever. And, it's just, I guess it's just a fact of life. I also like to point out, anytime AEW does something that's like, what the F are you doing? And this is on, I think, the Dark Show, which is on YouTube. So you can go search this out. There was 2 women fighting, but this is the clip that made the rounds.
She's not afraid to go up high.
No, she's a bit of a risk taker. You're taking too much time.
Jeez Louise. Let's see if it works right now.
She's not afraid to go up high.
No, she's a bit of a risk taker. You're
all right, well, they don't want me to show it to you, or I just did a really, really bad job. Both can be true. Let me just do this. Yeah, you know it. You know what's going to happen. The move is going to actually be successful, but it also looks like one of those moves that, like, you know, could really kill somebody. And I'm surprised that there isn't a little bit more what do I want to say? There isn't a little bit more control over there. It's just like anything goes. And you know, we learned a lot of lessons from ECW in the 90s. And let's see if this works.
She's not afraid to go up high.
No, it's not going to work. Okay, good. You know, we learned a lot of things from ECW in the 90s. And basically, it's all about the trauma and the injury that these people put themselves through for your entertainment, our entertainment. And I don't think it's something that we should actually be going back to. You know, I would personally like a more realistic style of wrestling, but that doesn't mean flying through the air and actually hitting somebody. You know what I mean? The art of wrestling is when you make it look real. You know, make it solid. You know, don't hurt your opponent. And accidents, of course, happen. But when you put yourself in a situation, you know, on the outside rope, the hardest part of the mat is the outside edge. And you're going to do a flip and a kick and all this stuff. I don't think it really promotes safety. And definitely not care for people that work for your company. I mean, you know, you can only last so long doing that. Look at Jerry Lawler. Anyway, with that, that's the Wrestling Minute. All right. Hey, everybody, that's how you spell my name, U-E-L. Don't worry if you get it wrong. I'm not going to be upset. Again, we're going to be talking about journalism and comic books. And we're going to get to that in just a few moments. But first, I'd like to say to everybody that has tuned in live right now, and of course, to all those that are going to be here later, I want to say...
We didn't come to borrow any money. We didn't come to borrow any dough. We didn't come to borrow any trouble. We just stopped in to say hello. Oh, hello to you, Mr. Penny. Please don't think that we are hammy. We just stopped in from Alabama. We just stopped in to say hello. Oh boy, you said it. We just stopped in to say hello. And don't forget it. We just stopped in to say hello. And I'm hello. Hello. Goodbye.
Hello, everyone. This is me, Yule. Thank you for tuning in. Hello. First up, early and not Fantinuum, Christine, homesick. I'm sorry to hear that. Should be able to watch live tonight. Almost through reading my stack. She got a big old fat stack of comics that we're building up. And said, finished the books. Read that first Surfer. All right, excellent. Fantinuum was here early. But it ain't journalism anymore. It's the illusion of journalism. There is no spoon. Are we talking about The Tick? I was watching that on Hulu last night. Wait. Journalism, it's tough, you know. Nobody likes to be told on, and nobody likes to hear bad news. So often, well, we'll get into it. Joby Pill just got done with work and says hello. Elithador is here to say hello, chat. And Oh, Silver Surfer Ghost Light. Why even have Surfer in it? I'm going to review that. It's going to be a loose review, and it won't be very, very long, but I am going to be talking about that. It was an issue, and I'm not going to, I just want to spoil, I don't want to, give away how I felt about it. Speaking of Telly, Jill says she's almost at the Talking Tina episode of her rewatch of Twilight Zone. Full on watch of Twilight Zone because she hadn't seen everything, including those hour-long episodes. I don't think that was a good thing, and they went back to half hour. We just saw the William Shatner Gremlins episode. Excellent stuff. Great. It was a perfectly written episode for William Shatner because he really got to do anything he wanted. I love how he says displaced right when we see the old store. Funny about that. Yes, like Real Sports, they have paramedics on hand. Jill's like chatting up a storm because she hasn't been able to do anything all day other than work. Elithador says, I hope Jerry gets better. He looks great. That's what I was saying. That guy has the boy face, the boyish face. And, he's always clean shaven. But he has some hair and, he's like William Shatner, although not Canadian, maybe it's Southern living. That's good for Jerry. It's all those young ladies he hangs around with. Of course, young for him now is probably like a 40-year-old. Yeah, she lands horribly, Jill. Doc Post-a-Lot says cheers and hello to everybody. Checking in only, I guess. If so, we are going to also be cracking a CGC slab right here. Whoa, when you see this advertisement, Jack Davis, right? This is a big deal. This is how I knew that Rick Barry and Dr. J were good players before I saw them. And truthfully, I never really watched Rick Barry play, but towards the end of Dr. J's career, he was definitely playing, or I was watching. So, it's an old comic. Did I just show it to you? And then Rod Serling hated the 1 hour format, apparently. I can understand that. And with that, hello, chat. Oh, damn, there were more people earlier. What happened? Did I screw up? Ryan's here. Hello, Ryan. I had found out just the other day that Ryan had been watching our shows, but just doesn't say hi. He's away from the keyboard, but he's listening, and awesome. I hope you're not making Cerise listen to this shit. Excellent. Why don't we start up? Oh, one more. John Burkhart is here. Yo, yo, yo. All right. Let me, what? I didn't change the date, so let me just do that really quick. Did you like that? What We Do in the Dark, the superb owl one. All right, first we're gonna talk about new comics that are coming out. The first comic I would like to talk about coming up is, oh god, screwing up already, how do I have it? Joe Fix It. For anybody that shops at my store, all you have to do to be a part of the club is get all these issues pulled for you and pick them up on a timely basis so that we can actually have a conversation about them. The last part of it is that you have to actually read the book. Upon completion of the mini-series or series or whatever has been set aside for what you need to get, you'll get $5 credit for whatever. $5, you're going to get a book anyway, so you might as well do it. And the next 3 books that I'm talking about are part of that program. So first up, we have Joe Fix It number 2. I already read it. Peter David's writing it. I don't know what the first name of Sinar's name is, but really good art. I liked it. And look at it; it has all the people on the cover that are actually in the book, and it was really good. I like it. I'm loving that series. I think it's just 5 issues, like most Marvel mini series are. All right, next up we have Matt Kent writing and drawing Spy Superb. This is a 3-issue miniseries, $7.99 a book. And the very first issue was excellent. I had to reorder it, and I've sold out of those. So if you're on the list for this, excellent. You're going to be a part of the program, which is going to obviously end before Joe Fix It. And you will get a $5 credit. This was a really, really good first issue, and I'm looking forward to the second issue. That's the cover of it, but they all come like this. Well, unless you get the variant covers. Spy Superb is not safe, and it looks like a Safeway bag. Excellent. Love it. And then lastly, Flash number 792, part of the 1 Minute War. There was a special one-shot that this alludes to last week. It alludes to in this book last week's one-shot, whatever. You don't need to purchase that, but again, it kind of references it, and I do recommend the one-shot. Nonetheless, Jeremy Adams is writing it and has been for quite a while writing Flash. And a lot of people, I'm on Thinking Critical's aficionados on Saturdays every once in a while. And everybody over there is crowing about Jeremy Adams on Flash and his kind of making Wally West a more viable character than he had been in a long time, especially since the New 52. So this is another one of the books. They come out bi-weekly. And so they're fast and furious. And again, this is a cover that actually depicts what goes on in the book, at least somewhat. I really like this issue, and I'm really liking this storyline. And the series has been good for the other issues that I've read of this. All right. Next up, we have a book I didn't read. In fact, I haven't been reading any of them. The connection with Batman is just too tenuous. Lazarus Planet, a series of one-shots that is going to be over by the end of this month. So if you've been enjoying this, I'm happy for you. I've had to actually reorder some of the issues, and they should be in real soon. But this is the next one that's coming out. And it looks like Ram V is working on it, along with a whole bunch of people. And there you go. I hope it's good. I don't know. It's got Deadshot in it. And what? So I guess the Heroes Forged, it looks like all the solo militaristic or merc type people, at least with like Red Hood and Deadshot, and I guess I don't know who the hell that is. It looks like I feel like it should be Katana, but there's no blades. Anyway, DC Universe Lazarus Planet Next Evolution. I'm not reading Batman, but I know I sell Batman quite well. This is issue 132. It looks like Batman and Selena Kyle on a date. That's cool. Nice cover. Matt Hawthorne's doing the artwork. There's a bunch of varying covers, including one by Joe Quesada. Perish the thought. Next up, we have Mark Silvestri's Batman and the Joker, The Deadly Duo, Part 4. What is going on? Not only is Mark Silvestri drawing a DC comic, he's writing it. Actually, he did this years ago, and they're finally releasing it. Why wouldn't they have released it then? I mean, it's not like, they weren't doing Batman books or had any predisposition to not put out Batman books. Maybe Jim Lee was doing something at the time and he didn't want old Mark coming in and showing him up. There are people that really like Mark Silvestri, and I do like Mark Silvestri. I just don't love Mark Silvestri. I mean, some people, the way they prop him up, it's like he should be on fuck Jack Kirby. Mark Silvestri exists. And I'm like, no way. Not only that, it's got this stupid old outfit with the no shorts. Or is Batman not wearing shorts still? Let's look at that last picture. Yeah, he's wearing some sort of trunks there. Yeah, it just looks stupid. Not that that's Mark Silvestri's fault. Also, I'm not reading it. Batman, you know how it is. Red Goblin. This is a miniseries. Are we really going to be reading about Normie's son? Or Normie, I mean, Osborn's son? And what, like the Venom, the symbiote? Good covers. I'm a Spider-Man guy, but I don't really always read all the other stuff. And man, I don't know. But, you know, it's one of those books. I'm sure it's going to sell quite well. So come in soon. Come in early. Next up, Sins of Sinister was a couple weeks ago. I actually enjoyed that one-shot issue going into Sins of Dominion or whatever the hell it's called. X-Men Dominion. I don't even know. I can't remember. But there are going to be 3 miniseries that are 3 issues long, and they all represent a different time. So we got Storm and the Brotherhood of Mutants coming out tomorrow. I have not read it yet. Storm is looking ripped there. Crazy. I assume this has a whole bunch of stuff to do with Mars, but I don't know. Can we really? I mean, there's going to be some crazy stuff going on in this. I'm not sure if I fully love what's going on in the X-Men right now, but I am more interested in it now than I have been in a long time. So pick up Storm and the Brotherhood of Mutants. A book I am not interested, and I can tell by the people that come in and purchase it, they ain't either. Hurry up, come in, let your voice be heard, and let me know that you want to purchase this book monthly. Unfortunately, if you do, it's going to be canceled soon, but I'm sure it'll be relaunched. The question is, will John Ridley be on the book then? Nonetheless, we've got Namor coming to the aid of the Wakandans after Black Panther got his ass whooped by Captain America last issue. These are the kinds of things you'd think people would want to read. I mean, this guy drowned half of Wakanda, maybe even more. This guy did when he had the Phoenix power, the Phoenix Force, and he brought the oceans with him and stuff. And now Black Panther is going to be the Wakanda's down with Namor. I don't see it. Part 2 of a book that is not being canceled, but I am cutting my numbers crazy time. Captain America: Symbol of Truth. This is the Sam Wilson Captain America. And for those of you that are like, yeah, it's Captain America, I agree. Not everybody loves Captain America. For the people that are out there, well, that's because Sam Wilson's Captain America. Let me tell you, Sentinel of Liberty, whatever the hell it's called, with Steve Rogers ain't selling any better. In fact, I think it's the same people that are buying both books. We are going to have a big old collision between Cap and Falcon, and there's going to be like a little storyline that's going on for a couple months, a mini event, if you will, within books that nobody gives a shit about. But if you want to see Sam Wilson maybe get his ass kicked by Steve Rogers like he just whooped on Black Panther, you might want to check this out. Oh, I read this book, Bishop War College #1. I heard about this book and I was like, oh, I don't give 2. You know what I mean? Bishop has been ravaged for so long that I couldn't care more about him. I mean, he hunted down to kill a baby. Hope, one of my favorite new characters in comics in the last, bunch of years. And shaved his head and went. There were good issues. I mean, I did like him chasing down Hope. See, the thing is, he comes from the future, and he thought, well, this is the thing that's going to really screw everything up. Even though, Scarlet Witch said no more mutants, and all the stuff that happened with her and her family. It's all Scarlet Witch. If you're going to kill anybody, why didn't you kill the Scarlet Witch? Anyway, he's trying to train these kids, and in this first issue, that's pretty much what goes on. Although there are two people from Rob Liefeld's past coming in and trying to cause problems for the mutants on Krakoa. And they're working with some shady bad guys. So it's, they're mixing. Next up, we have Avengers War Across Time. Paul Levitz and Alan Davis are telling a classic story. I think Kang is the villain. And if you believe what some people are saying about the Ant-Man, this might be the only good Kang stuff that you're going to be seeing from Marvel for a while. Although Timeless was pretty good from what I understand. Harrower, #1 from Boom Studios. I don't know anything about this. Justin Jordan is writing. He's back. Justin Jordan. He's done some stuff that I've actually really, really liked. And he worked with Tradd Moore on the Legend of Luther Strode. So if you're a fan of like Tradd Moore's, well, I'm talking about Luther Strode. If you're a fan of his stuff, you should check that out. If you enjoy the writing of Luther Strode, you probably should check out Harrower. Hopefully, Justin Jordan's putting his best foot forward since he's been gone for so long. And last but not least, and it's not really the last either, it got so many other books. Static Shadows of Dakota starts season 2 for Milestone's probably most popular character. I mean, he had a cartoon. He was into Teen Titans. Anytime they do Milestone, anything Static's involved. So no, most definitely the most popular character of Milestone. And I haven't read this, but I did page through it, and the art is really pretty. I gotta say right off the bat, the art is really, really good, and I am interested in reading it. In fact, I just didn't bring it with me home to read it, or else I would have. I just left some stuff at work. The story, from what I understand, so my customer, who is probably the biggest Milestone guy that I have in the store, I also sell his comic books at the store. For those of you that don't know, Sick Media Comic, is it Sick Media Comics? And is he even in the chat? Anyway, he does some comics that I sell, and he was telling me that season 1 of the new Milestone Static was more of a retelling of the old Static. This is almost a retelling of Static season 1 of the cartoon. So what I gather is they are introducing plot elements that were running through the cartoon and characters that we haven't seen in comic book actually before. So that's kind of cool, because I would assume most people know Static from the Static Shock TV show that it had like a couple seasons, if I'm not mistaken. So this is definitely one you should probably check out, if only for the art. And it's a whole bunch of people that are working on Milestone now that they're like the new people that DC brought in that, let's just say it, man, a real diverse crowd of people working on Milestone these days. When I was reading Milestone in the 90s, I always thought that it was more supposed to be, let's just say it, black creators. All the characters were black until Zombie. And, for a long time, I thought most of the creators were. In fact, because, there wasn't really the internet as it is, obviously, now, or even 10 or 20 years ago. You didn't really see a lot. Social media even wasn't quite the same. It was more bulletin boards, and Dan Slott had 3 accounts and wasn't telling you who he was in one of them, or at least, or in the other 2. You don't, unless you go to a convention, unless you meet the people, it might be a giveaway if you read a person's name, what ethnicity they may be. But at the same time, Joe Duffy, I don't know the gender of that person, and now that I think about it, I don't even know the nationality of that person or anything. I never knew Trevor Von Eden was a black man, but then, a black person, but there he is on a Milestone book, and then it's like, oh, okay, I kind of have an assumption. But then John Byrne did covers. And it was like, what the heck? What the heck? John Byrne, I know. Everybody knows. He's drawn himself in the comic books. And unless there's a colorist out there that's screwing around, I know that's a white boy. All right, I got some work to do. It looks like. We'll get to it. I'm going to be very slow responding to this person. Oh darn! I don't have this comment down. Let's see. So that was the end of New Comic Book Day. Well, actually, it begins tomorrow. So, actually, keep it or eat it. Very good. I like that. You know what? First, we're gonna do. We're gonna crack the slab, and for that, I actually have a video. All right, now I am going to move my camera. I don't use a power tools during the show. Wow, look at that. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this very, very thin screwdriver and I'm finding the crease. And I don't know if you can see it, but here, let me see. Well, anyway, this is X-Men that we're going to be doing. Let me get that back in there. I actually had it moving. Usually I'll have to get the hammer. There we go. So right here. Oh, wow. Usually I have to bang around a little bit. Obviously, I don't care if I break the slab. I just don't want to damage the comic book because, I bought this. Well, actually, this was the store. I think getting it graded. All right. I also don't want to hurt myself, Sorry. Well, I thought this would come off really easy, but it's not hard. So I'm going to tell you a story when I get done with this about CGC screwing up and why I say, you know, these things are, it's an inflated price. The higher the, I mean, obviously the higher the grade, the better it is, you know, for the price. I'm just going to rip it open. Oh, I should have done it that way. Oh, I'll remember that for next time. I mean, almost anybody that gets CGC is not very happy. I know I'm going to miss this. I should have gone full screen. Sorry. Didn't see it. Didn't see it. This is all a learning process. Are you kidding me? I'll go full screen now. X-Men number 112 right there. That was a 9.4. I'll be taking it out of this also eventually. You can almost see all the gunk over there. Oh, maybe it's this one. No, it was the right one. John Byrne. I mean, look at his Wolverine and Colossus when Magneto's around. You know what I mean? It's an awesome cover. And I'm happy to have that. I've got a pretty good X-Men collection. Mostly I just want to make sure I have all the John Byrne issues. So I have a couple that I need to get, but it's like 3 or 4 at the most. I'm not really worried about it, although the prices always go up. And, you know, X-Men is X-Men. It's just like wanting to buy Spider-Man. I mean, not only does everybody want to buy Spider-Man, but yeah, everybody wants to buy Spider-Man. It's tough. All right, so what's the story I want to tell you? Let me just go into this, and let me just do this really quick. And I'm going to look at the comments. All right, comments for a while. How's your father? Says Jill. Okay, talking to each other. Very good. Ryan Hudson says Spy Superb looks like it has some sweet character design. I'm Spy Superb's pretty hilarious book. I don't want to give it away. I mean, there's only 3 issues, and for people to be a part of the club, you know, they got to tell me something about it. But it's cool. And yes, crack the slab. And also Ryan says I like Mark and I hate Jim. Hate Jim? Hate him? Eric D, it is more interesting than the Batman Who Laughs. Is it more interesting than the Batman Who Laughs? Might be why they waited putting it out until they were done milking that character. For sure. Maybe Scott Snyder. I think though that Mark Silvestri working. I'm trying to think about Capullo. He's not doing anything. Okay, yeah, he's actually doing stuff for Marvel again, or will be. The Batman Who Laughs Capullo was doing, you're right. I think, though, that the book, Deadly Duo, was done years ago, even. Like more than just a few years ago. Jasper Plan 9 says, hello, chat. Hey, chat. Elithador says, yeah, the last time Bishop was a significant character was as a villain. Other than he fell off hard after Onslaught. Oof. Poor Bishop. I like Bishop, man. You want to buy a comic book that might be worth more money? You should buy Bishop, his first appearance. I'm going to say it's 281, but there might be the cameo in 280. I can't remember. But whatever, at least his cover, first appearance, you know, and of course it's got Will Portasio artwork, just great. Cyber Frog what? No, I won't be getting any copies for my store. He doesn't. All right, so here's the deal, Jasper Plan 9. I don't want my customers getting angry at me. Also, I'm not buying a $30 comic book to sell it for $60. That's just outrageous. I told a guy that came in with his zine or mini that his $11.99 price point was just too much for this small, like if it this is a comic book, his was like this tall and maybe like this wide, and it was black and white and pretty rudimentary artwork. And just nothing in it that said I should be spending, you know, $6 a book so I could sell it for $12. And all of the people that do crowdfunding, for the most part, don't. There's got to be a way for the crowdfunders to be able to get their stuff in the stores. And the stores would pay money up front, but it has to be at a much, much more discounted price. And that's the thing about crowdfunding. Everybody knows that. As far as the Wreck Planet arriving, was it the Ides of March cover? And when am I going to get that? Nobody ever sends to California first. Yeah, fans of Kang should be used to do that. Oh, the Busick story. Oh, and those Avengers. Unfortunately, Alan Davis wasn't there for the entirety of it. Kieran Dwyer did a very, very good job filling in. Just wasn't as dynamic. A bit of a shame that we don't see Kieran Dwyer these days. He was a really solid illustrator and could really put good pages together. Kenneth Bird is here. Hi to everyone. Yeah, all right. Let's see. John and I talk about the anonymity, lack of identity. Many artists enjoyed experience pre-internet. Yeah, well, I heard that it would be like back in the day. You would tell somebody that you work, you're a writer or an artist. And then you dread whether or not the person will be like, oh, really? What do you do? And then you're like, oh, I do a comic book. And then they're like, all right, you guys. Oh, you would like to see some that's what I was saying. Well, they have like handheld skill saws, right? Little tiny Dremels or something like that. It's easier to be anonymous as a comic creator today since no one reads them anymore. Wah, wah. Let's see all right, you guys there. Eric D says Yule should see if he gets the Jaws of Light. Very good, very good. Oh, how's your father? Says, psst, interested in some bootleg Cyberfrog, Yule? I really don't have a problem carrying anything I like. But I know that it would probably upset more people than, but again, that's, I don't have porn in my store and I'm not equating one to the other. I'm actually a big EBS fan as far as his art is concerned. People get real bent out of shape about all the other stuff. And it's like, what are you going to do? But people get bent. I mean, people don't like Zachary Levi now, and everybody liked him before. And, it's like, all you have to do is one thing. Now you're on the same pedestal as J.K. Rowling and Gina Carano, I guess. People really like to scream and shout. And like I was saying earlier about, journalism and comics, and we haven't got there yet. On one end, you have your people that comics are dying. Nobody reads comics. And I'm not saying that comment, Elithidor, was that way. But also then there's the other people, comics are great. We haven't seen anything better in sales in pre-pandemic. Like that's a big deal. How's your father? Says, okay, seriously, would you carry cherry Pop-Tart? I have actually. I'll have you know that Fantastic Comics legally has cherry Pop-Tart stickers or magnets. I mean, so cherry Pop-Tart loves Fantastic Comics. What I'm really trying to do, because we have a few shirts that we made up, is if anybody knows Kim Deal out there, she posed for a picture with a cherry Pop-Tart shirt on. And I would really like to get her to wear that now for me, my shirt. And that would be super, super cool because I love the Pixies. Yes, that would be. All right, very good. How about Omaha the Cat Dancer? Well, it's got to stay in print. And the thing is like once you make something in a book, I don't have any problem. You guys are, we could talk about all sorts of stuff, and I've skirted around the issue of all the stuff in the past. The things I like to point out more that I don't like in comics is usually lame stories. Stuff like that. Breeders' Records are better than Pixies' Records. Shut up. That's just ridiculous. Okay, so this is the CGC story I wanted to tell you. A person online on Twitter said that after like a year of finally getting their book, this is the book they sent out. So you got X-Men 58. Awesome. Got Havoc in here. And this is the book that they got back. A 7.0 from CGC. Unfortunately, the pictures of the book that he sent out, especially on the spine, look like that. When he got his book back, CGC'd, it looked like this. So we went from this to that. And just to let you know, he had another copy, and you can tell that this is not that copy because it has a big old mess up the number 58, the 15-cent stamp. Probably some store maybe did that or something, or they put a sticker on it and someone tried sticker removal. Just to let everybody know, when I press comics, I don't do sticker removal. Yeah. So this guy says, I'm never going to do CGC again unless I see them do it in front of me. And there you go. I just say don't do CGC anyway. It fetishizes the books. And personally, for me, if I see a really, really tits collection, I want to know that there was a possibility of it being damaged, because anybody could put something behind plastic and never touch it and have a great collection. But every once in a while, you want to see a little bit of. When I took my Understanding Comics, when it first came out through Thunder Press, to Scott McCloud, that first San Diego Comic Con that it came out, he saw the shit I put that comic through, that trade through. And it was bent and it was red. Like he knew that it was red from the beginning to the end. Although the color section was stupid. Okay. Everybody knows that. Who gives a fuck about coloring in a comic that's black and white? That was a work of genius. And I understand people that say, well, actually, I don't. I know how to read a comic book. Read Understanding Comics. It's hard for me to get in the store, but anytime I have it in, I sell it. And you should read it. It's really, really good, and I highly recommend it. And it'll make you really love comics and understand comics, I do not necessarily recommend his other follow-ups. Making Comics was drivel. No, not Making Comics. Reinventing was drivel. I couldn't stand it. It was like he was like jerking off multiple artists and writers of comics, and it was like most people would be like, huh? Who? What? And then of course the internet, because he was all aboard, all on board webcomics. Anyway, this guy's like, I'm not doing CGC again. And I agree. Don't do CGC again. Their grade is shite. And they take poor condition of your comics sometimes. And it takes a long time. Although their number or their days are supposed to be better these days. As far as how long, how many business days it takes. But I mean, there is an aspect when you want to sell something that having a CGC stamp on it makes that comic more expensive. But what kind of collector are you? Are you the kind of person that wants the comic book for your collection? Or do you want to put it up on the wall? If you want to put it up on the wall, you're going to pay a lot of money for it. If you're a collector of it, there's a guide, and you don't necessarily have to follow guide. I work in Berkeley. Back in the Comic Relief days when I worked there, independent books sold really well back issue wise. You don't follow the price guide when it comes to that in Berkeley. Optic Nerve first prints, 8-Ball first prints, 8-Ball period, Acme Novelty Library, Peep Show, on and on and on. Like Sandman would have sold at the high dollar value before the TV show. Before that in most other places, And actually, other places in Berkeley didn't sell alternate back issues or alternate issues well. It was, you have to cultivate the people that come to your shop and what they want to buy. But if you want that book for your collection and you aren't just going to put it up on the wall, and there's all sorts of other ways you can put it up on the wall, don't get it slapped. Infinite Crisis. What is that? No, I don't want it. Looks like a stupid side book. Yeah, no video game books anymore, except for Injustice. Get rid of it. Ugh. How many of those do we have? It's got Viv Vision in it. Companion 1 and Countdown. All right, keep the Infinity books, I guess. Well, I'll suss it out later. Even the Darkhawk. Ugh, Hunt for Wolverine. Yeah, that one was actually pretty good. Bring it on in. Yeah. Are we still doing the website? The half-off website? So what are you going to do with this other shit? Charlene Harris. Anybody in chat want Charlene Harris? Do you live in America? Ooh, The Haunt. Oh, Hawk and Dove. That's a volume 1, isn't it? I don't care about Charlene Harris, dude. All right, here's some bad news, everybody. Hawk and Dove, volume 1, right? Wow, Rob Liefeld at his best. Look, can you open it so that people can see inside? When Rob Liefeld first started, he pretty much cut his teeth on Hawk and Dove. And this looks worse. I mean, it's classic Rob Liefeld. And the thing about Rob Liefeld, and anybody that's watched this show in the past that has heard me talk about him, that he loves to show men's asses. Exactly. He has things about the picture might not be good. Definitely when we're talking anatomy. But he knows how to lay out a story in such a way, and it is dated. It's 90s dated. When you look at it on the newsprint with the coloring of the time, it's more understandable. It all just kind of goes together. Yeah, well, that's because Jim Lee did all the designs of the new 52. He got rid of the underwear on the outside and he gave them all collars, basically. So if they have like a collar that they didn't have before, that was because Jim Lee put that in there. I love Hawk and Dove though. They're one's pacifist, one's and one's like me, except a good fighter. Definitely an aggro. Yeah, it was Dicko characters, yin and yang. Yeah, keep it. Yeah, Hawk and Dove. Haunt, on the other hand, Greg Capullo and no, get Haunt. Nobody wants that anymore. Yeah, Haunt. Oh, Nathan Fox, Joe Casey writing it. This was, I think, later because I think Capullo was the artist on it to begin with. I mean, doesn't this look like he has like little spermies just like all on his costume? Good art though. Nathan Fox is excellent. In fact, if you heard my Joe Casey interview, we talk about Nathan Fox. Let me just get rid of these, and we are going to. I gotta just get this out of here. Yeah, I don't want to keep a volume 4. At least right now. I mean, most of that stuff's gonna. Oh, sorry. Oh shit! I just screwed up. Let me see. That's what I was going to show you guys. All right. Hold on a second, Eugene. Next thing we're going to talk about is Ron Mars posted that he is sad to report that his friend and collaborator Lee Moder is gone. He passed away, I guess, in a halfway point of last month. We just saw Jason Pearson, who died, get announced a few weeks later. And now that's happened again for Lee Moder. For those of you that don't know, he was primarily a 90s illustrator. He worked on a bunch of things after his DC work, but what he was most known for was his Legion of Superheroes run. I think this was back in the Beer Bomb days, but it might have been a little bit after that also. And also, he co-created Stars and Stripe with Jeff Johns, and that's pretty. She's got the TV show going on with Stargirl, and definitely a key issue that everybody should want. R.I.P. Lee Moder. It sucks, man. 53 years old. I'm going to be 50 or something like that. 52, 53. I'm going to be 53 this year. My buddy Eric Jones died last year, and he's my age or around there. Buddy, what's like one step under Buddy? That's what we are. It's rough, man. It's rough. It's rough seeing like people younger than you die. It's rough. Another good acquaintance, Vince Kakua. He is going to have a story that got repurposed and finished from other creators on the last Image Anthology 30th Anniversary Edition, number 12. He was a guy that worked at Image and other places behind the scenes, and so he was a really good artist. But most people are never going to really know that they saw his work. And he was much younger than me, and that's really rough. LK says, I have one Slab book. I got the Slab George Perez Pray for the Sinner sketch autograph book. Being one of the finals covers he did was worth it. Yeah, I mean, obviously. And I don't mean like all of the time it's fetishizing this stuff, and we do want to keep things secure. The thing about CGC is that I don't know if those slabs actually offer real security. I've heard many things about the books when they come out, when people pull them out, sometimes they can, but to each their own. I'm just trying to save the consumer some money. And also, we've seen so many instances of where CGC, where's the journalism on this comic book, people? We've seen so many instances of shady behaviors going on when it comes to grading books, grading video games, grading videotapes soon, grading cards, grading stamps, grading coins over the course of years. And these companies are all related to each other in some way. How can you trust one and not trust another after you've seen that the record numbers of things that are selling? You're never going to get that money back unless someone is willing to pay that again and more. And you're never going to be satisfied when you sell it for less. So we should really crack the habit of the slab, and just kind of trust the comic store that's near you that they actually know how to grade something. If you're only doing it for insurance purposes, it really doesn't matter anyway. If it's for the full-on knowledge that you know that the book that you have is in really great condition, you know it anyway. I have people that come in. Not everybody knows it. When I'm buying books from people, I'm on the phone. And it depends. How much would I get if I brought you in this box of comics? Well, it depends on what you have. Well, I have Spider-Man. Well, it depends on what kind of Spider-Man you have. There's a lot of different titles out there. It also depends on the condition. Oh, that in bags and boards. I rail on this all the time on Twitter as the store. I rail on Instagram about it. I rail on here. Change your bags and boards. Did you change your bags and boards? Did you get this out of someone else's bin and you're trying to make some money off of it? I don't care that they're in the bags and boards. I don't care if they're in from last year. I don't care if they're in from 10 years ago. Well, actually, I do. The more longer than a year ago, the more I care. But that doesn't mean I know anything about the condition about the comic book. And that's the thing I hear. You should know as comic collectors, if you've got the worst condition comic you've ever seen in your life or the greatest condition comic you've seen in your life. You don't really need that grade on a 5.0. It's just an okay copy. A 6, a 7. There's obviously exceptions to the rule, especially if you're trying to sell them. Do you think you're going to be like Lee Motor in the next year or two? You might want to do this for your family so they don't have to fuck around with your shit too much. But those would be the reasons to do that. Otherwise, why are you doing that? Do you ever want to read your comic book again? And again, if someone comes into your house and they're like me and you're just doing it to show off, I'm going to be way more impressed if it's at least in only a Mylar bag. Or if you've actually changed your bags within the last 10 years or 20 years. Or maybe what your box system is. When it's in a slab on the wall, you just put some shit up. And I mean, those comic covers are awesome. But so is that Blacklight poster that I have behind me. Jim Rugg, by the way. And all that other stuff that I have back there. And if my comic books are up there, I don't want them to see light that way. You can oxidize your paper. Oh, that's right. So let's talk about that. There has been a lot of people talking about comic book and the industry and whether or not it's doing well and it's doing bad. And there are people that use numbers and they try and put them together as best they can and suggest how well the industry is doing. The problem is that ever since Penguin Random House has started distributing books, and it's not solely Diamond and then Lunar is distributing DC comic books and other comic books, as is Penguin Random House. The Diamond doesn't have the full numbers like they used to have. And nobody knows really what books are selling. And the fact of the matter is, when comic books are selling, they are they're not they're not the comics that are sold to the store. Those are just the comics that are sold to the stores, not what is or isn't leaving the the shop. And that can be a pain. And I just screwed up. So there's the people online that have websites. And I mean, first and foremost, I really think, I know, like, it's like in the comic shop, and this is the thing. You got to diversify what you sell. And like, that's what people will say to people that don't know, like, your comic store is doing poorly. And I'm not selling brand new books. Well, I got to sell back issues. I got to sell Magic cards. I got to sell Pokemon cards. I got to sell T-shirts. I got to sell pop vinyls. I got to sell figures. And for me personally, I just want to sell some comic books. That other stuff is neat, and it would be awesome to make a lot of money on it. And it'd be awesome to get those things into the hands of people that really like it. But ultimately, I'm preaching the word of comic books. You know what I mean? It's an entertainment that I enjoy. Nothing else can tell the story like a comic book can. And there's so many different ways to do it. Granted, a lot of the comics that are out there right now don't tell stories differently. And a lot of times the art is subpar. But that's always the case. For everybody that likes Avengers West Coast, let me tell you, that was anytime Al Milgram's on a book, it ain't good. Even if he did do a good cover every once in a while. So, like, it's things are good and things are bad. Things are always good and things are always bad. Let me tell you, there was nothing worse than when Tony Stark was reverted to a young person. And the Avengers sucked with all their armor on, and the art was so bad that even when they moved over to Extreme Studios and Wildstorm Studios and all the other people that were doing those Marvel characters over at Image, it sorely needed it. They needed to light a fire under their ass, and Marvel was doing a really piss poor job of it. And so they let those really key books go on over to those people. And they kind of concentrated solely on the X-Men, solely on Spider-Man, and a few other things. Those things sold really, really well. For people that don't know, I am a big fan of Perch's channel. These are some other channels on YouTube that I really enjoy. He has done in the past sales numbers, and he did it for like Heroes Reborn. And those did really, really well. And not unlike most comic books, there was an ebb and a flow and then a plateau. And, that's how it usually works. But for the most part, they did really well. And it helped Marvel going forward because let me tell you, when they started over with Spider-Man, when they started over with Avengers, and it was Kurt Busiek and George Perez, I think we talked about that earlier. When we talked about also, Iron Man and with Kurt Busiek and my good friend Eric Cannon on Inks. These are the these comics did really, really well, and Marvel, Quesada became eventually editor-in-chief, and we saw really, really good Marvel for quite a few years, and now we have Marvel what it is now, and it can turn around on a moment's notice depending on who the creators are, who the people in charge are. And the way I look at it now, a lot of people talk about culture wars and stuff like that, and for sure people get angry about all sorts of things and let themselves get all up uptight, especially when we're talking about entertainment. It's kind of like stupid. But I really think of the comics industry, the people that run the industry, usually it's first and foremost they have an idea of what they want to do and they're trying to implement it, and then they're getting the people in there that they need to implement what they want to do. The only problem is that there's finances involved, and it can be problematic. Overall, I think that's what books will be auctioned. Oh, very good. Okay. Well, let's do the Supernatural Law for an auction because I think someone would really like those. Was there more than one? That's a classic book that I never read. It's Bat and Lash, I think, or Bat Lash. Helena Crash. Who does it? Wrangle and Johnson. No, let's go auction. It looks cool. Oh, Wonderfully Insane. Well, I remember hating that. Let's keep it. Brown's pretty good artist. Yeah, we'll keep it. Who does this? Is this Kari Andrews? Oh, no, it's not. Bring it in. It's first time in print. No heartthrob. Don't even bring it up. I can't stand Chris Sabala's work. We've sold it okay in the past, but not volume 2. Oh, too many. Green Monk, is that nice looking inside? So boring. Look at the backgrounds. Oh, none. Let's read about Brandon. Let me see that in the back. Let's read that out loud. Brandon has worked in animation, illustration, and concept art. He's created concept art for multiple EA games and for Disney Infinity. In 2009, I remember the Green Monk. I have that somewhere. It looks really good. What happened? Let's keep it. I'll check it out. Oh, another Iron Patriot. What did I say before? Yeah. Shit can it, or did I say bring it in? Whatever, bring it in. Do whatever I did the last one. You tell me. It's right in front of you. No, thank you. This was all from the old store, everybody. Hard Time, yes. That's very good. Very good book, everybody. We're going to see if we can... Steve Gerber, Brian Hurt. No. Ron Mars, I hated that. Let me see who does the art. Oh, wait, it's not Ron Mars? I thought it was. No, I don't want it. I don't care. No one's coming in to ask for it. Does disappoint because it was still on my shelf when we could put it in a box. Keep it. Keep it. Keep it. Keep it. Yeah, just keep the rest of the box. I don't care. Back to journalism. So it was, let's see, I have it right here. So everybody's losing their jobs in comics. We don't know the numbers of how well comics are being sold. Comicsology looks like, I mean, they're still operating, but they're not operating with the staff they used to. So any problems, keep it. Any problems they're going to have will probably be like, who knows if they're going to be able to fix it. And also people weren't really loving Comicsology after all the changeover, when Amazon bought it. So what volume is that? On the spine. Keep it. We'll put it somewhere. All right. Let me go to the comments really quick. Exactly. You don't need CGC to do it. You could just put it on the wall. BCW makes some nice, simple frames. They're easy. Exactly. Look, there's all sorts of reasons why someone might want to put something, a comic book on their wall. I'm not doing anything with that. So I hope that's just for you. It's just, it's really more the company I'm railing against. I never really thought it was on the up and up. I have seen things to suggest that they aren't on the up and up, and I am seeing also so what are we expecting from CGC? Something a quality grade and something that can protect my comic book. Well, I'm seeing that some of the comics aren't protected by them, and then some of the grades aren't very good either. So what's the reason I'm using CGC? Not only that, there's a Pete's equivalent to if the Starbucks or Pete's to Starbucks as CBCS is to CGC. Of course, everybody goes to Starbucks mostly. Amazon's treatment of Comixology says more about the state of digital sales than all the gaslighting columns that Heidi have put out. A lot of professionals. I even talked to a professional that said, "Well, I'm seeing really good residuals from digital sales." And maybe this is the one person that is, but we're not really seeing the numbers, and nobody's releasing the numbers of what digital sales are. And since we're seeing more and more artists, needing to help, artists and creators needing help from the public that they used to work for, when they were making comics, GoFundMe. Or you find out that they're having a bad time and, they need something. And it's like nobody in comics, nobody who owns these comic companies hire up. The WWE, if you're an AEW person and you're like an alcoholic, and just because you were like, you're in the wrestling business, well, I don't know if they're doing AEW now, but I think, supposedly they helped put up John Moxley when he was, when he needed it. People that have and haven't worked for their company, and not even when they necessarily did what they did to get them in a situation to need help, WWE was footing the bill. Granted, it's a lot of PR. Bring the Red Sonjas. It's a lot of PR. So, no good deed, all that stuff. But they're there for they're there for their people and people that aren't theirs. Where are comic books? Where is Disney? Where is Warner Brothers? Where is Discover, or whatever the frick these companies' names are? You're making a lot of money on things that these people created, and nobody's talking. I mean, that is what people talk about, but they're not like railing against the companies. They're not talking about what is real and what is going on. It's just like, you know what I mean? You got these people. There's so much. It will be in nerdgrocery.com. There you go. I have some wall frames for holiday theme, but I love that. Oh, that's cool. It's just the company, and nobody is talking smack about CGC. News-wise, I mean, where's the hard-hitting investigative reporting of comics journalists when it comes to CGC? Did you know, as people, that if your comic is worth an extraordinary amount of money, you're going to get charged more by CGC for that book? Now, if it's a better grade, you're going to have to pay more money for that because there is a perceived value that's even higher. And when we're spending money that is so high above what Guide says, just because of what CGC, is it real? It always seemed like a scam. Where's the journalism on this? We had a Harry Potter game. I don't want to get too into it because I know games journalism people, go crazy. But we had a video game that has been doing really, really solid numbers. But because of J.K. Rowling's affiliation with the devil, I guess, game journalism sites, they've just decided not to even talk about it at all. Even though there are people that want to review it and they're warned away from it, you know. No one's ever told me I can't carry something in my store, but I also don't want to necessarily tempt fate. You know, you got to know your audience also. And comic book journalism has ignored large swaths of the industry that is doing well or that is doing something. And can you trust these people? I mean, firstly, if you're on a news site and it's IGN, which is video games, I assume, and you go on and they have a wrestling column and they have a comic book column and they have this and they, you know, that, you know, they have an entertainment. If they talked about the Grammys, is it really a comic book website? And I understand, you know, you need to get something to, but that's what I'm saying about my store. If I'm not selling comic books, am I even really a comic book store? When they're saying, when we are getting reports that some comic stores close and some comic stores open, are the ones opening actually comic stores? Or are they a record store, a used record store with a little bit of comic books? Or a Magic the Gathering? You know how comic book stores will have a little bit of Magic the Gathering? Switch it around. Are you a game store with just Knights of the Dinner Table, you know, and PvP? You're not a comic book store. Do you only have new ones or only old ones that, you know, you had in your collection? Are you a thrift store? And were the ones that closed down actually comic stores also? Nobody ever really says. There is a guy out there named Chris Arrant, and he has worked for a plethora of comic book news sites. And he said the other day, he said, let me take this down. Not that one. That one. Now would be a good time to note if there's comic journalism you like, you should support it financially. If they offer memberships or take donations, do so. If they take ads, buy ads, or encourage your company to. If you wait for perfect, you will be waiting a long time. And then he lists places like the Comics Beat, you know, and on and on. Ignoring other comic book news sites, didn't say anything about there's comicbook.com. The Comics Journal, Newsarama. I've never liked Newsarama. Newsarama has always been horrible. I always hated CBR. Not necessarily places I'd go and give money to instead of your store that's selling actual comic books. I don't think there's ever really any news about a comic book that you need to know about, that you need to pay somebody. Start a Substack and get your fans to follow you over there. Oh, by the way, for those of you that are interested, Fantastic Comics has a Patreon account. You can drop as much money in there as you want. Maybe you enjoy the show. Maybe you just want to help fund a comic store. Maybe you don't even want any comic books in your life anymore. You got all the crowdfunded comic books, but you got money burning a hole in your pocket. Well, you want to make sure that you aren't like George Costanza.
You know, my last name is Costanza. That's Italian. So you and I are kind of like countrymen. Huh?
Paisanos!
650 your change. Ah, yes. And I always take care of my paisano. So here's a little something.
Antonio!
Sí!
Vieni qua! Questa miserabile!
So head on over to our Patreon account. But if you want a cooler, much cheaper, free experience, you should go over to our Substack instead, which will have a Gizmo Cash app eventually. We're working on it right now. So if you like dogs and store dogs, like comic book store cats are so 20 years ago. You need a comic store that has a dog and not ones in San Francisco. So like we were the first dog comic store in the Bay Area. I want you all to know that. So that's important to know. Let's see. All right, let's see here. Every funded book that isn't done by one of their friends has been ignored, for sure. I mean, there's a shit ton of crowdfunded books, but there is like nothing on Indiegogo is like promoted unless it's a comic book that also is on Kickstarter, and they don't talk about the Indiegogo. And it's because of all the people that are over there. I've perched at a comic on Indiegogo. I don't think the guilt by association when it comes to crowdfunded platforms should really exist. Although Kickstarter has really set themselves up as a place. I mean, when we're talking gatekeepers, and I'm like, I talk about, when I'm making fun of a person for the comic book they like, it's because there's a shared knowledge of making fun of the comic book that I like, even more often than not. And it's just goofing. It's not meant to be hurtful. It's not the gatekeeping that people feel. Granted, when you do it with someone that's new, it can be a shock, and it works that way. But when you're not letting people know and you're a news source that things exist out there, not cool. I don't think that's cool at all. All right, let's see here. All right, trying to remember. I think it was Newsarama that had the weekly review column that was done by a veteran comic book writer that was often savage. So when he liked a book, you could trust it. I'm sure. I don't know if it was Newsarama either. I like the printed work. I like Wizard. I like when Eric Larson was on that one, and he would talk mad shit about things. It's really hard, for professionals, especially ones that are working at the time, to social media slam people these days. It's a bad look. And talking about Jason Pearson earlier, who died this year, or I guess technically last year, he was slamming somebody that was working. I think it was Afua Richardson, and it sounded more like sour grapes because he wasn't working in the industry. And everybody, Bleeding Cool and all those people, just made sure to let everybody know that this guy was, a cad. And, it just kind of sucks. Panel is a pretty great publication. All right, very good. Let's see. Jasper says, ISOM 1 broke every record. Yeah, let's ignore that, or make sure that we make sure everybody knows that the guy ain't cool. I didn't read ISOM. I had a customer that read a friend's ISOM. He didn't like it. People's first efforts, I don't always forgive them, but it looks like he had an artist that worked on it, and I saw people online trashing it. So it's okay to trash a professional artist sometimes in social media, just not sometimes in social media. So it just depends on who you're attacking or who it is that's attacking. I know of all the people that got upset with Jason Pearson, I don't want to see any of their fucking shit. I want to see Jason Pearson. And now I'm not going to get to either. Eric Canetti got a hard time for using Indiegogo. Anybody giving Eric Canetti shit is a fool. That guy's so nice. And I highly recommend his book. He wanted to hear a review, and I haven't given him one yet. I think it's good. Like, there's just a lot of characters and there's things that are going on, and I'm reserving or I'm holding my review for later, because I want to see where the story's fully going before I make some rash judgments. But it looks really great and it reads well. Although there's a typo in the first issue, first page, first issue. Indiegogo is now a scummy platform. I thought they always were. There are books done by Carl Kiesel, Merritt Michaels, Keith Champagne that have been. Wow, I didn't even know that they were doing stuff. I'm not a big Merritt Michaels fan though. Just to let you know. Canetti also got crap for printing under Iconic Comics banner. It was a smart business. He doesn't have to do anything. They can do it all for him. All he has to do is do the books. I just love all the different fractions. And the things is, when you don't report on something, there is not a record of what's going on. There's just the social media and the Wikipedia and the I Hate Warren Ellis sites that I have to believe or trust everything. Where's the verification? Where's this actually happened? You're calling yourself a journalist? Journal, You can't not be a journalist. We see Jill Bupill in the other room can attest to this when it comes to wrestling journalism. They're not journalists, okay? If it's an entertainment site that's reporting on comic books and wrestling and all the other shit that goes on and everything, it's not anything. It's just a lame newspaper. It's a non-verified newspaper. Even the comic strips in a newspaper need to get vetted. But there's nothing out there that needs to when you're copying and pasting stuff. Don't give these people money. Don't. It's over for them. Let it be over. Not comic books, not comic book stores, just the journalism. Who's a journalist? Where's your sources? I know you don't want to tell your sources. But I mean, you come down with like such an air of authority and you're wrong so often. And what are you really reporting anyway? I think we should go back to the wizard style. I think we should get off the internet. Being on the internet right now. This is not news though. Didn't know about Vincent. Here's a sketch he made for the store sketchbook. Oh, that one is so good. Look at Vincent Kukua. He just drew in our book one day. I would read that. Turtles. Couldn't get pages done. That's his problem. That's why he's a good artist, He couldn't get anything done. Let me see. Arc Athena is great. I want the other four. Tell me about it. Arc Athena is good. I really do like it. And I have loved Eric Canetti's artwork at least since Ladytron, right? Wasn't that the Wildcats Ladytron issue? But he also did Mr. Majestic, I think with Joe Casey. And there was this issue where I think it was him. It might have been Ed McGuinness, so I might be wrong. It's been a long time. Mr. Majestic goes out into space with this canister of like nerve gas or whatever. And it oh no, that's not what it is. It explodes and he just like sucks it in, weed style. And it goes out to space and he lets it out. And then he starts tripping. And I love Joe Casey on Mr. Majestic and Ed McGuinness and then Eric Canetti. Brilliant work. I should get Eric Canetti on the show if I can. LK says, I got my Lady Alchemy book last month and really enjoyed it. It reminded me of a good Vertigo title. Man, it's a shame it took so long. I'm happy for you. I didn't purchase that one. I just had a feeling that I knew there was going to be trouble involved. It's marketing, not journalism. Exactly, Jill. That's exactly what it is. And that's the thing. We've seen a lot of people over the years who are now working in comics used to give great reviews to stuff. I love this Greg Rucka book. Look, I like Greg Rucka quite a bit. And almost always he's never failed me. I really enjoy his Wonder Woman run. But not everything he does is flawless. Oh, we got this New Question. I didn't like any of that. And in fact, I think most of what he did on the 52 series, I don't believe was the greatest. But I have liked and do like Greg Rucka quite a bit. But, you know, he has this umbrella of people that he's brought into the comic industry. Hopefully he didn't offer them the job after fucking them like Warren Ellis. But you know, he's brought a lot of people in. The Fraction and Kelly Sue DeConnick team has brought people into the industry, and they're out there, and they're making the comics world a much better place. Kiesel and David Hahn are doing Impossible Jones, which I love. Oh, you know, I think I do know of that. He's been working with Tom Grummett as well. Merritt has Counterpoint Comics doing crossovers with Dynamite recently. Wow. Crowdfunding, they need to, once a year is one thing. And I'm perfectly willing to spend a lot of money for a comic book. I understand what's going on. You want to live. And this is the first time that, you know, oh, I shouldn't say first time. There's a certain expectation that old timers especially have. And when they're crowdfunding, they're usually taking everything into consideration when they're putting the price point together. But how much of ISOM's success was based solely on comic as opposed to the high dollar funding options that were in the campaign? There were multiple tiers in the hundreds and thousands. Totally agree. A great conversation that anybody could have. And the thing that I have a problem with when people don't have a conversation with other people is that, let's just use politics for a second. MSNBC, CNN, Fox, they all have their conservative, liberal, in-between persons of all ilks so that they can have their little arguments and say, see, this person's a fucking moron. But they never have real conversations usually. You usually never really have conversations with these people. If you're a person and you want to get your word out there, like let's say Mike Barron, for example, he's a guy that's getting raked over the coals for his comics. He's doing some edgy police style comics that are concerning border situations. I'm not going to read them. I like Mike Barron. I've loved Badger. Nexus I've tried to get into, and I have all of them in the garage someday. Even his Punishers are good, but I'm not going to read this other shit if it's not going to have anything involved with, you know, somebody that I care about in comics anymore, especially if it's superhero related. But nonetheless, you know, this guy shouldn't be put in a situation where people are talking, you know, slamming him in such a way that it makes me think poorly of him. He can do that himself. Let him do that himself. Yeah, I don't need you telling me. And I mean, are you really even a news site when you're doing that? You're just like throwing dirt. ISOM, we never have this conversation about it. We're having it right now. And then, you know, there could be a journalist that would go in and then actually figure out all this stuff if they were able to actually talk to him. But these politicians, let's say I have something that I want to say, or maybe I'm a, oh God, the guy who shot up people. I don't even care. It doesn't matter. If I shot up people that people over here like, that's okay. If I shot up over here, that's okay. But I'm only going to be able to talk to these people. I'm never going to be able to talk to these people. I'm only going to be able to talk to these people. I'm never going to be able to talk to these people. When you force me to only talk to these people, that's the only people I'm going to be able to talk to. And I'm never going to be asked questions by people that are supporters of me in such a way that aren't going to be led, that aren't going to be, like Jill said, marketing, not journalism. And so Eric July, he sold a lot of t-shirts. He sold a lot of books. The books were super overpriced. The shipping was super overpriced. But the thing that I would suggest about Eric July's ISOM was that he sold a large number of comic books and that was impressive. He sold a large number of comic books to the point, it's not even the money, because he made a lot of money because of the price of the comic books. But if they were $3.99 comic books, he wouldn't have made as much, but he would have made a lot of money compared to Batgirls, Tim Drake Robin. Let's get a Marvel book in there, Moon Girl. He'd have killed them. And, when you were talking about the success of the industry and, there's money involved, that has to be factored in. And if it is factored in and we're not talking about it, then we're lying to people. We're saying, oh, we always said manga was comic books. Yes, it is. But we're talking about the mainstream comic book industry. We're talking about Image, Marvel, DC. If you're propping up the sales through Scholastic and manga and Viz and stuff like that, then what are we really looking at when it comes to numbers? And how is the art on that one, on the Martina? Well, she got a secondary penciler the last time I heard, and I think that person's stuff looked pretty good if I remember correctly. All right. We're going to go straight into a review now. I'm going to skip all you guys and then get back to it in a second. We're going to do the Silver Surfer review, and then we're going to close out the show with a couple things. A little bit return to the journalism. Silver Surfer Ghostlight came out, and I was like, John Jennings, and I looked him up, and I don't remember who it is. I don't remember anything about them, but I remember seeing them and going, oh, this is going to suck. Valentine Delandro is a pretty good artist, and I thought it looked really good in this comic book. It kind of reminded me of like a Greg Smallwood. I don't always like a lot of lines, so the illustrations that were in this book looked really good. And it started off with a glowing man and someone screaming after him, and then him turning around and saying, Tony. And then Tony wakes up as she's being screamed to. Oh, nobody ever screams to me when I'm thinking about peeing in the toilet. She's got to get ready. She's going to do some babysitting. We're introduced to a family. This is the family. We've got a young daughter. She's moved from New York into a small rural a town. It looks like kind of farm-like. But it's good because they're going to be able to, and then a son, and it's good because they're going to be able to take a grandma. She's listening to jazz tunes with her grandson that loves jazz. Now, let me tell you, when we got kids in the store back in the day, when we had the big store, and kids were being annoying, like these kids aren't leaving. What we would do is we would play some sort of metal music, like a metal apocalypse, something like even back in the comic relief days we do that, or country music is good for that, or jazz. So normally I would drive people out with jazz. Kids, that is. And so to see this, it's like, all right, it's cute. You got this family. And we got this family, and we don't stop seeing this family for almost the entire issue. Actually, the father and the mother, they're going off. They're going to have a little date. We're going to get some exposition from them about how they're living in her dead brother's house. As they're leaving, they say, don't go in the shed. That's important. Don't go in the shed. So you know where the kids are going to be going, right? Later on, the daughter is telling the grandmother about the dream she has. She talks about this person that she sees and all that stuff. And then later on, her and her brother, Knuckle Nut, she likes to call him, go traipsing around and eventually go into the shed. And then there's a secret combination. That's a jazz tune. And they do something that alerts the attention of the Silver Surfer, who then comes down and the book ends. Okay. So, way back in the beginning of the show, we had Christine that had read it. We had a Lithidor that's like, there's no Silver Surfer in it. And the first thing I'm going to say is I agree. There's no Silver Surfer in this freaking book. And it's really feels like this whole series is an attempt to introduce us to this new character. So first and foremost, for you speculators out there, you better run and get this book. This could be the next Blue Marvel. And if you get it slabbed and it's a 9.8, it might be worth $3,000 in the future. I'm sold out. I forget if I've tried to order more or not, but I will as soon as we're off here. So get on your Comics Hub right now and make sure you let your store know that you want Silver Surfer Ghostlight so that you can put it in a bag and never read it. But the problem is if you don't read it, you'll miss some really good art. And you'll miss some very good characterization. Again, the Silver Surfer is not in this book, but I think the Silver Surfer always kind of suffers as a character when he's in the book too much. I can't even understand how the Silver Surfer was a character for over 100 issues starting in the 80s, the late 80s. By the way, if you come in the store, you're going to start seeing a proliferation of Silver Surfer comics that started from the Ron Mars run, or Steve Englehart technically, and then Ron Mars. And it's got all that Thanos stuff, and those issues are expensive, and they're in very, very good condition. I had a very good buy the other day. So Silver Surfers are going to be in the store, and we also do mail order. He's in all those issues, but I just, he's way too OP, and unless he's like in intergalactic stories, personally, I don't really want to read a ton of stories with a lot of different alien races. And so Silver Surfer, Marvel space stuff for the most part really has never done it for me. So this negative aspect of that shouldn't apply to you. It's just to me. I have read some really great ones, and I love the Jim Starlin Warlock. His Death of Captain Marvel is a must read, but it kind of ends for me there for the most part. I do also highly recommend Earth X if you can get your hands on that. This series, first issue, getting us to the meat of the next issue, where I assume 2, 3, and 4 will be very important, but nothing will be fully resolved until the 5th issue. And again, it looks like this whole thing is really, it's kind of just trying to use the Silver Surfer to introduce this other character. I think the thing about this writer is that he doesn't really work in comic books, and that was probably my first negative aspect about that person. Nonetheless, I thought it was a good story, and it did have some Marvel elements in it, and it had really good art. If you like that style, I can understand if you don't. Anyway, that's my Silver Surfer Ghostlight review. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We're almost at 2 hours. I'm sorry I've kept us this long. Did any of it make sense? Let me go to comments really quick. LK wants to let us know that watching the slide of Greg Rucka has been painful. His Queen and pre 9/11, was he like he knew what was going on? Queen and I read that. And then 9/11 happened. I was like, holy fuck, this guy knew what was going on. It's still one of my all-time favorite books, black and white, by the way. At one point, he would have been a great, good James Bond writer. I totally agree. LK, don't you have a channel? Plug it, and I'll put it up there. What about Mr. T in the T-Force book? Neil Adams did that cover. I don't know if he did the insides. Mike Barron has a GoFundMe to sue the person that got it. It's the Daily Cost, if he's pronouncing it correctly. You can't mess with someone's income. Dude, it pisses me off because, like, he's a comic book legend. So, number one, I'm predisposed to liking him. And I mean, everybody throws around legend, and maybe he's like a tier or two below. But he really knows how to structure a story. He's old timey, but he's not so old timey that you're like he's like an old timer. And I've been able to be on a show with him when I was doing the Critical Blast LCS guys Saturdays, and he seemed like a really cool dude. And yeah, I mean, it's just the subject matter of his Indiegogos just aren't really doing it for me. And I also don't fund people's lawsuits. But I would totally expect people to want to fund mine. Regarding Isom, after the first 500K, does it really matter? If he sold shirts and posters as well, he totaled over 3.7 mil. That's fucking crazy. And I mean, truthfully, let's be real about it. There were a lot of people that bought his shit to own the libs, right? Maybe one of the reasons why I didn't. I totally appreciate him though, and I really appreciate the fact that a guy like Blue Marvel creator, oh god, what's his name? I can't think of it right now. Shit. It's like Xevious or whatever his freaking name is. The guy who worked on one of those oh, fuck, I can't remember. It's towards the end of the night, guys. Doesn't really matter. He made a lot of money. I totally agree. It's up to Eric now to build a consistent seller. Yeah, exactly. He could be a one-time seller, but I hope he builds. It's going to be very difficult because the thing is that number one, a lot of his people, and whoever those people are, bought his book. Hopefully, he can retain his people, but also he needs to retain the people that were interested in what he had to say in the book, and hopefully it was said and it was enough for them to want to buy the next one. So he has like two groups. He has the one that should be maybe three, his super loyal following, the people that wanted to own the libs, and then the people that wanted a comic book that was different, a comic book from a black creator maybe that was writing about a black character, but maybe not in the I gotta talk about my feelings way. I'm gonna say it that way. I would love to get a review copy though. Elithidor probably talking about Silver Surfer. This book was so boring. Maybe I don't even think it was 4 panels. I think it was like a space shot, surfer, last page. But it was all just very much set up, and that's the problem with 5-issue, 6-issue miniseries. Where it's called Freytag's art, or Freytag's whatever that thing it's called, the graph, where where the climax is, and when you get to the 3rd and 4th issue, think about Secret Invasion, a very good series that Brian Michael Bendis did. The last issue was trite. Was horrible. It was not very good, and everything that he did leading up to that issue basically got washed away and made me hate it. Is this better or worse than the Dan Slott Silver Surfer? Well, a lot of people say that the Dan Slott Silver Surfer was like a more romantic James Bond, a more romantic Doctor Who. And he's taking this young woman off into these like crazy situations. There were some really good issues that I read, but I didn't read them all. I understand introducing a new character in existing books, but why launch a miniseries of Surfer just to introduce someone new? Well, Silver Surfer is the lead that gets the person into the book. And, I mean, like I said, Blue Marvel was a miniseries, and then he was in Ultimates and other things. So, who can you pair this up with? What kind of character it is? Hopefully, this is what I would hope. I would hope that the Silver Surfer would make sense as a person to introduce this new character with. And if that's the case, then that would be cool. If you've never read Submariner, The Depths, I think that was what it was called. It's Peter Milligan and Assad Ribic, I think. And there's like almost no Submariner in it at all. But it's so good because, Submariner. Did you ever read Bruce Jones's Hulk? It was almost no Hulk, issue after issue after issue after issue until it was. And then it was like very, very powerful. The problem is you can't keep going back and doing that all the time. You know what I mean?
And Marvel has so many miniseries that they're doing this. It's just like, it's rough. It's really rough. And like Jill says, it's marketing. That's exactly what it is. It's the rub. You need Hulk Hogan to rub for the Ultimate Warrior. But when he kicks out at 3.5, it makes the Warrior look a little shitty. That's how you keep your heat. If you're a fucking piece of shit like Hulk Hogan. The 80s Silver Surfer only started to become terrible. Totally agree, but a lot of people love that Thanos stuff. There you go. Elithidor says Mars' Surfer is an amazing run. I also hate Ron Lim. I don't have a channel. Oh, you don't? But you can find me on England's I Love Comics channel. Oh, okay, excellent. We have auction hangout every Saturday night. No slabs, just good books and good discussion. I totally agree. I love putting in my 2 cents, but I know I'm never going to buy anything. But yeah, great. You guys, you got to check out I Love Comics. Oh, I'm going to put that on there, especially if you like seeing comic books, you know. And not only that, Eric Breen, who's been on the show numerous times, is on that. This is a great reason why I do the show, so I can let my customers know what's going on. Fantinium is going to be around at 5:30, so if anybody has a hate on for him, that's when you show up. Anyway, this is the part of the show where I like to say thank you to all my Patreons, customers, my patrons, I should say. Again, you've really helped me out through hard times, and you're going to help a budding comic store or comic. You're gonna help all my patrons out there that are putting in money right now, whether he knows it or not, are going to be helping my comic book customer who also creates comic books get a professional artist to do his cover. And we'll be talking about that more going forward, but it's a long road that we're going to be on until that actually happens. But I'm looking forward to it, and it should be pretty exciting. Jasper says, I sold Isom #1 on eBay for $120. Anybody want to buy a Cyberfrog? I got multiples. That's great that there's already a secondary market. Was that cover A? If I want to get it, I think I'll just go for cover C. Or maybe I'll just wait for the big fat 120 page book instead. God, I hope the scale of because if that was a $35 book, then that's going to be like a $75 graphic novel. Oh, shoot. Sick Media Comics is here. Follow his channel. He just did a review on Static Shock, and I'm going to give him pointers later. It's bad when I'm giving you pointers. Thank you, Oh, wait, one last thing. Two more things. Okay, I got a first print of Kamen America to put up for sale. I'm not in a manga. Oh, Kamen. Sorry. I said Cayman one time in front of one of my customers, and he laughed in my face. He went, ha, 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 like that. And what did I do wrong? Because I knew it was a laugh of like, he's kind of making fun of me. And he's all, it's common. Maybe I just noticed how good AI art, mainly Mid-Journey. Oh, you guys are taught. Okay, very good. Excellent. Yeah. We've talked about AI in the past. We've done some AI stuff. Check out our Substack. It's funny. The guy to my right is the person that puts it together. He grills me for information, and then he ignores it altogether. And with that, this is probably, without an interview, the longest show that we've put together. Stay tuned for this video, and I'll see you next week.
Lucy and Ramona cruising through the jungles of L.A. Hoping to promote a dream somewhere along the way. passing up the treats from a kid named Cisco, trying to make connections with their blemish-free complexions. And just as fate would have it, ended up with Sunset Sam. Sam was selling watches from a suitcase on a TV tray. And Lucy and Ramona kept trying to figure out if he was gay. The three of them were standing, staring at each other, when the light behind their eyes blew each other's cover. The ancient code was branded, and each of them was handed a ticket to their kingdom, 'cause they saw their brother Sunset Sam. Sunset Sam. Lucy was from Compton, and she met Ramona at the zoo. Ramona was from Brooklyn. She left when she was 22. Sam was a native of the Arizona desert, but he split when he was slated for some governmental make-work. Their differences subsided when the common bond was sighted. They were all from the same place that made the famous song.